works out in the end. People are really just coming for the information, and I think that's the most important thing. So we're good. Thank you. All right. So women's wellness. Introduce yourself if you don't mind. Tell me who you are, how you came to be doing what you're doing.
My name is Marley. I'm a mom and I'm a wife, and I started doing this because I needed it, really. I always say like I'm a mom, wife, and a woman because that's just, where it starts. And yeah, it started when I was pretty young, about 16, and I was dealing with my own problems and like got down some Google rabbit holes, and it just never stopped. And I just kept going and finding more books and everything. So I've compiled all that and just found that it's so necessary, and I love it. I'm obsessed.
You're a rabbit hole person like me.
I am so big into cycle awareness. I always say like cycle awareness for root cause vitality is like just the wording that I use it's all encompassing. Just how you interact with like your daily life and the decisions that you make like benefit or harm your hormones to huge degrees. And that can be the root cause to like a lot of chronic conditions that we just don't talk about.
When it comes to women's fertility, women's cycles, what are the things that a lot of women are not taught about?
Well, I feel like we get the basic, like, okay, you're going to get your period, and like maybe some people even know why they're getting their period. We don't know a ton about like ovulation, but then like the luteal phase and the follicular phase, like why are those happening? There's a ton of brain and like reproductive system hormones that are they're communicating back and forth, and that it's in a ton of almost every single bodily process in a woman's body is altered by the quality of their ovulation. And yeah, I feel like there's so many things that we just leave it at like basic, this is how it works, but not getting into like, but how does it actually work? How do the things spike and drop? And like, it's different for everybody. So it's not like a one size fits all, but just getting curious about it. And we're not really, that's maybe what bothers me the most, is not being encouraged to be super curious and like look it up and what's going on and how are you feeling?
Let's boil down to like the super basics, okay? So for women that don't even know what the different phases of their cycle are, let's break those down and define them, and maybe like give some indications of those or behaviors that we might have around that time or how to recognize them.
So a typical cycle, which like typical is like, I think it's like 2% of women or something, so don't listen to that. It's like 28 days. So you can divide it up, and everybody divides it in half of like, you get your period, and then you ovulate, and then it goes down, and then you start back up at the period again. So like menstruation, but then from the time that you get your period, you're shedding everything that happened in the last cycle, and that's where you start cycle day 1. And then you bleed, and you know, it can be really restful or really hard on the body. And then you have this follicular phase where you get like, oh, okay, I'm done bleeding, and like I'm starting to feel good again. I'm getting my energy back and stuff because your body is building up and getting ready to like hopefully reproduce. And yeah, so you're waiting all month to get up to the ovulation, and it's not exactly halfway through the cycle. It varies for everybody, and how long your follicular phase is and how long your luteal phase is from ovulation to period matters actually more usually than how long just your cycle days are in general. Your cycle is in general. So then when you get to the ovulation, you get this huge rise of hormones. And then unless you have the proper nourishment to sustain them and the proper detox methods, that's a lot of what I see, because we have so many environmental toxins. And that's a big, like endocrine disruptors are actually everywhere. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, you know, I don't have a very 100% clean diet, but to make sure that you're like detoxing all of the estrogen, everything that spikes when you get the ovulation, so that way in the luteal phase, when you're like coming down and your body's like, okay, did we get pregnant or not? Should we shed this lining or should we grow this baby? Then you can start getting the negative PMS symptoms, or it can feel like a good like and calm and a good reset. So there's a lot of hormones that play a fact in that. I mean, I can get into those ones, or I can go, what are you thinking?
Literally, girl, go wherever you want to go. Like there's so many untapped pieces of information when it comes to how do your hormones work? What is your body doing around your cycle? As we age, what's happening with those hormones? How do we supplement them properly? And like everything. We got an hour. Like, let's go.
Okay, cool. So my favorite is progesterone because, well, it's not my favorite, but you gotta give it some credit because we don't talk about it enough. You hear like estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, and then there's LH, which is the luteinizing hormone for the luteal phase, and FSH is what's going on. LH and FSH are in your brain. Follicular stimulating hormone is what's growing the follicles. So estrogen is like a big growth hormone, and it's what makes you feel really fantastic and sexy when you're ovulating. And then progesterone is the like calmer of cortisol and calmer of the growth hormones. So that's what can make you feel really like calm and just balanced. I don't know how to explain it. That the progesterone imbalance we see in deficiency, and we see just a ton of it. And like people are noticing it now. Like you're able to get tested and just see what you can do to boost your progesterone, and you can get on like synthetics. But really, it's like managing your stress, drinking enough water, like going to sleep on time. It's like very basic things that you notice like how great you feel to a serious degree, and it's not a coincidence. And there's other things you can do of like lemon water, drinking lemon water and making sure you can detox all the excess estrogen, because when the estrogen starts to like it gets too high and it kind of attacks the progesterone and it doesn't take it back down after the ovulation, and it can make you just feel, it's just like I can't say like it makes you feel wired or
that makes sense.
Yeah, like you get PMS is a big sign, like breast tenderness, bloating. I mean, like all the things we all consider like to be very normal, because estrogen, like of course we have it, but we also get a lot of xenoestrogens in our environment, and our livers are a lot more taxed than they were, I think, in previous generations.
Sure.
And that's what detoxes the estrogen. So you have to calm that and like invite the progesterone in, and that's what makes your body say, okay, we're safe to get pregnant. Even if you don't actually want to get pregnant, you want your body to be like, yes, it's time. I feel good. Everything's aligned. Let's just focus on desire instead of lack.
Tell me who you work with primarily.
Younger women.
Yeah.
Younger women. I think it just like calls to my heart, because that when I was 16, that was me. I have a lot of young sisters and young friends, and that like just lights me up.
The educational aspect of it, to give them sort of like the foundations of what are your hormones, what are they doing during these times, and how can you support them?
Of course. Yeah, and I feel for like, well, I guess people our age and people who've already been cycling for like maybe decades, it's more so the like curiosity to learn about it that you have to like gain, and that's what you'd have to talk more about is like, what are you interested in about your cycle, and what can we do to like give you some just things that would feel fun and supportive. Whereas for like younger girls going through the foundational, like, this is what's happening, I feel like you get a super great opportunity to say before somebody turns like 20 or like 18, your body's not broken and it's wise. It's like really wise, and it's not trying to like hurt you. It's not being mean to you to have PMS. You should listen, and you can instill the curiosity way younger. So I think that's where it lights me up.
That's really exciting, because foundationally you can literally change the way women look at their bodies and look at their health. And as someone who is 41 at this point, I can tell you very definitively that there was very little education about this when I was, first getting my period and into my teen years and early 20s. Like, it was just like, you don't talk about it. You just like have a tampon or a pad like in your purse, and it's all very hush hush, and like, you're like, it's like almost shameful to a certain extent.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, it is. It's like there's a true like physiological thing that women who free bleed start to, like, you can kind of smell it, and whether you think you can smell it or not, like your body can smell it, and you signal to everybody in the room what side of the cycle you're on. And like there's a lot of science backing when women are ovulating, like they get better jobs, they go on more successful dates, like they just really stand out. So it is actually triggering to some people who feel an internal shame to see that somebody is freely showing off their hormones. I mean, think of all the fake scents that are in pads. And
so true.
I mean, I think the foundational piece of that too, I don't know if you have like kids or anything, but it makes a huge difference on like how you deal with getting pregnant and then pregnancy and then motherhood and postpartum, and then like being a mom is hard, and like then do you want to have more kids? There's a lot into that. You don't want to carry that shame around with you when you're trying to like make lunches.
That's actually an incredible parallel that you just drew, because we talked with a postpartum chiropractor, and it was very eye-opening to sort of explore where the feelings of postpartum depression and postpartum mood disorders come from. And so to hear you say that is really, really interesting, because we were kind of sitting there wondering, like, where do you think this comes from? You know, like, and we were, you know, jokingly talking about, like, not necessarily directly referring to it as the patriarchy or anything like that, but just sort of this message that we've been sold about ourselves and our bodies and things like that. So very, very interesting. Okay. So when you talk about women that are more educated and sort of like embracing their cycle and their hormones at every different stage, like, what does that look like to take someone from shame into openness, and like, what do you see when that happens?
Oh, I think that, so like when I specifically teach this, and the reason that I like got into like, I have to teach this, I can't just be doing it for myself, everybody needs to know, I'm going to tell everybody in the world, is because if you look at it, like, these are the statistics and like these are the facts and these are, you know, the tables and the charts, because it is so overwhelming to get into it, and you don't look at like, where am I at, what are my goals actually, and like, what do I want to do? And so I just sat down and I made these 2 pieces of paper, and one of them was like how my cycle worked. I did not want to get pregnant at the time. I was horrified of getting pregnant. So, you know, I wrote down exactly all the things that I need to know to have a really good shot at using fertility awareness method and not getting pregnant, and it just lived on the fridge. And I had another one that was like things I should eat, and I just looked up like, okay, I noticed that I was having like iron problems, so we're gonna start doing red meat at every period. We're gonna start preparing for it, and the fat and protein was a really, really big deal for me, and knowing which side of the cycle that I'm on, because I didn't pay attention before, so I knew very little. I just took notes and I put them on the fridge and I looked at them, and then it started to stick, and then it gets intuitive, and I think it gets like super intuitive if you're having fun with it. And so I didn't cut out going to Culver's and eating ice cream. Like, I was not cutting things. You add more. And like, I think it's true, the thing of like, don't try to go cold turkey. Get addicted to something stronger. Like, get addicted to feeling so good, because that's gonna take over your need to go get ice cream, because your body's like, oh my gosh, I need a pickup of energy, like my cortisol is just like draining me, and you don't know where it's coming from. But then it connects afterwards when you start just intuitively like, yeah, having fun of it. I think just like starting with the basics, there's not a ton you can do to like, I don't want to say there's not a ton you can do to hurt yourself, because you could take really bad advice, but you know, if you're starting with like, you know, what supplements do you want to take, and do you want to start tracking your cycle, and are you trying to avoid pregnancy or achieve pregnancy maybe, and you know, are you vegan, are you not, because that's going to play a huge role into what you're going to be focused on.
Let's actually break that down. So I want to hear specifically around each phase, how typically do you recommend that people eat, and where do you find that is, but then also digging into different lifestyles and how they impact your cycle.
Yeah, so there's the nutrition, and that one is like, that one's difficult because people eat so many different ways, and like not everybody is going to down like a couple of tablespoons of chia seeds every day, you know? So sometimes it's different. And then the lifestyle shifts was usually like workouts or like not working out at all. Through like menstruation, magnesium is so important, and dark chocolate is so high in magnesium. It's so high in a lot of the like actual minerals that you need to feel good when you're on your period, and like it actually relieves cramps. And drinking coffee when you're on your period isn't going to. It'll probably do the opposite. That's a hard one to get around though when you're feeling a little ill, you know? So I try not to be hard and fast of just picking like 3 things. Like what was easy for me in the beginning when I wasn't really willing to change my whole diet week by week, because I mean, I lived with other people and we weren't all gonna like eat specific foods. I will go into the foods though, because I love that. I did seed cycling. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I've not.
There's just a couple of seeds you take. It's flax and pumpkin, and then sunflower, and I have to look. I have it written down. I haven't done it in so long, but you take you take a tablespoon a day of each, and it gives you the like phytonutrients and the estrogens and the hormones you need to help support your hormones versus on either side of the cycle. So like one side of it will help clear the estrogen, and the other side will help you rise it, like very naturally, and you just take a tablespoon a day of each. So I started with that, and that excited me so much because I was seeing like these people are talking about like this tiny little seed, and I'm gonna eat like 200 of them, and they're like, that literally creates life. Like that seed right there can make 200 little plants. And so it's got everything needed to like make your body feel just, and you have to be careful with that too, of course.
Too much of anything is not a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. But that was like an anchor for me because I don't know, it depends. I guess I would look at, I don't always have like, I have a couple of sheets that are like, these are what would be helpful for different parts of your cycle. Like, you know, eating leafy greens and drinking juices when you're ovulating are so good. And you can work out so much when you're ovulating, and you'll get better gains than any other part of the cycle.
Wow.
By a lot, yeah. It's really incredible.
You know, the biggest thing that I noticed is like I personally actually I'll crave chocolate in ovulation, in menstruation. When I'm menstruating, I always crave steak. Like I'm always like, I want a steak.
And like salt and fat, terrible. Fries. Like fries are the thing, but they actually are so good. They will lower your cortisol. And like you don't want to crave fries. Like you want to get the salt elsewhere first before you need the fries. But it's baby steps, you know? You look up like, okay, what can I make instead? Like can I make sweet potato fries at home? Root vegetables, so good for menstruating. Your digestion slows down so much. So eating the same things that you would eat when you're ovulating, like leafy greens and a lot of juices, can make your digestive system just not very happy, and that can cause cramps as well. And so it's a lot of like in early pregnancy and then in late pregnancy, you deal with this huge digestion shift of like sometimes, you're just like constipated, and sometimes you just like can't get off the toilet. And it's because of these like contractions and uterine things that are going on. But when you get your period, it's just a miniature version of that. A contraction and a cramp are the same thing.
Very interesting.
And they're right next to your bowels.
Let's dig into hormone imbalances then. Yeah, how do those show up? What do you typically educate on?
So when we're talking about like the quality of ovulation and that it plays a role in a lot of like your brain and just physical health in general, we see people who just don't ovulate, like they have just anovulatory cycles, or you like get your period and then you ovulate, and then it's a really, really, really long wait till you get your period again. And people don't usually know where they ovulated in there, and there's not a lot of clear bodily signs, but like if you're ovulating and it's a good ovulation, you'll know. It'll be on time. The cervical mucus will be like egg white. Mm-hmm. It'll go through your fingers, and your skin will clear up, like a visible change in your skin clearing up. Your digestive system will feel good. You'll be able to eat things and take a run, and you're not going to feel so tired. And there's a lot of signs to it. If you're not having quality ovulation, which can literally be so many things, it can be like genetics. It could. I've seen it actually come down to somebody's laundry detergent, and because that's big fragrances, you know.
Let's dig into that. I want to talk about two things. First, I want to talk about cervical mucus, because I had no idea before today. The naturopath physician that we talked about cervical mucus as like an indicator of hormones. Talk about that and the different, I guess I would say, viscosity of it related to different phases of your cycle. How does it change?
Yeah, so when you're on your period, you bleed, and then afterwards you'll get like dry, like it's wet. I can't explain. It's like water and flour. And then it'll start to get slimier and slimier. And do you know why this happens? It's crazy, because every part of your cycle, the cervical mucus is so acidic that it will kill sperm, so that way it can't actually get up to where the good things are going on. And so it starts to create these little, like, you look at it, and then they call it ferning when you ovulate. So the closer you get to ovulation, like the more slimy it gets, and it'll be slimy and wet, and there'll be more, and there should be, I mean, not that there should be, but if you're like very balanced, you know, there will be a lot. And then when you ovulate, on the day of ovulation, you'll get big strand egg whites, because the mucus actually starts to fern, and it makes these little patterns that go up, and you can get this tiny microscope. You can check it like at home with your own cervical mucus.
That's awesome.
So it's like $40. I know. But you just look at the fern, so it makes it so the sperm can swim up, and it's not acidic anymore. For 24 hours, you can get pregnant, and for 24 hours, the egg lives. For 5 days, the sperm can live in fertile mucus, but not always. Sometimes your body kills it. And it totally depends on the quality of the ovulation. And like, if if you've had sex with the same man, or like if you've had sex with multiple men in a short amount of time, your immune system will be like, nope, make cervical mucus, kill it all. We don't know who this is. And
Interesting.
it'll make you recognize it. And it's based off of kissing them. So if you've kissed them, your body is like, we kiss people because we want to see if they're our siblings. If they're like related in some way or another, you don't like the taste of their mucus, and you don't like the smell of their breath. And it's the same thing with sperm. So,
Wow.
So then after you ovulate, it starts to get a little bit, like it's less, and it just goes down and down and down until it turns into, you're probably pretty dry after you ovulate, and then it's like time to bleed, and then it goes all the way back through. It's the craziest thing, and you can track your cycle that way, and people do. I mean, I found that to be effective for me because I just would check when I wiped. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but there's a lot of different ways to track, and I find that one to be like, you add that in with a couple of other methods, and you're golden. Yeah. You just start to know.
No, you really do, because I think about the days, like I was never really good at tracking my cycle, like, or doing any of that until honestly, like I'd say within the last 9 months to a year, but I would always feel like I'm going to get my period. And then I would notice, like when I wiped, it would be completely different. And so it's just so interesting to me. Okay, so let's dig back into endocrine disruptors and what you experience with people that you work with and how they can make lifestyle shifts, or where they're like most found in, like the biggest culprits, things like that.
Microplastics and plastics are a big one for endocrine disruptors. I mean, like microwaving plastic dishes can be a really big red flag. Even like polyester clothing, they did a study. It's so funny. They put polyester shorts on dogs, and the dogs ended up like pretty close to infertile versus like the cotton and linen. And, there's a million ways to avoid them. Oh, yeah. Okay, so, well, the big one that I found is your feet. Like, the pores of your feet suck in so much, and specifically shoes from, like, Shein are way above the level of chemicals that they'll leach into those huge pores, rather than, just more quality shoes with, like, a cotton insole or something. And that one is, like, there's really alarming evidence on that in the rise of Shein shoes in the last couple of years. And, the workout clothes, one where you sweat is a really big one, or like deodorant can be a really big endocrine disruptor. Like aluminum it's not always great. Well, and it hurts your detox pathways, to clog it up a ton. Mm-hmm. And so that's also why the natural fibers can be good, because they'll absorb and they let you breathe. It's like wearing cotton underwear is undoubtedly good for your pH health. And I don't know. That one's hard for me because I still struggle with that. I mean, like, I try. I think that this is cotton or something, but, like, what I'm wearing underneath isn't.
Yeah, it's tough because more and more natural fiber clothing is becoming more expensive.
Oh my gosh, by like hundreds.
And then you have fast fashion like Shein, and it's so cheap, and it's hard when the economic climate is such for people to choose, especially in a consumption-driven environment as we have, where people are, kind of buying the idea that the more that they buy, the more that they're worth. It's difficult for, I think, people to wrap their heads around, like, maybe you can just buy less things, higher quality things, natural fiber things, to replace the, mass.
And then when you do, like, your Shein clothes, because I bought them a couple of times. I think I bought something on Shein once, and then I tried it again. Both times, one thing out of the package busted immediately upon opening it. And they didn't last very long, and I'd stitch them up. Like, I know how to sew, but it's not very fun to stitch your clothes all the time. Whereas if you spend like $400 on a cotton dress, you're probably going to learn how to get the stains out, and you're probably going to learn how to sew, because it just matters. So we do a lot of like passing things around our family, and like, I want to say thrift stores, and I love thrift stores, but passing things from like people and like I also love Marketplace, is so like, do a clothing swap party. Yeah. And it's hard because you find something so cute and then you're like, oh, it's all polyester. And I don't know, I just draw the line. My husband's got to wear all cotton boxers. That's where I draw it. But the shirts, it's all right.
I think in everything you have to find that balance of like what is the most realistic for you operating inside awareness. And so I think
perfect.
just letting people know that this is something to be aware of helps them to make those choices. So when they're considering clothing options like Shein, they can look at that and think, okay, not only are these the wrong materials, but they're also coming from factories where likely the working conditions are terrible. So they're probably being sprayed in additional chemicals that make them even worse for you. And knowing in that equation in their head of like, what is the actual value of me paying more for something that might look like the same product when materially it's not, which means hormonally and like from a health perspective, it's not.
You're bringing me down this. We've been talking a lot about informed consent lately because everybody wants informed consent. But you see, like the Shein ads they're nice and flashy. Like it's an ad of an article of clothing, and then there's natural fibers ads, and those can also be flashy, but they have markedly less budget, So but they're not giving you informed consent in the ad. They're not giving you a disclaimer of everything there. So really, that is where the curiosity is important, because unless you care and you're willing to like look at things or find somebody who's willing, you just put yourself in a room where somebody like cares about them, about themselves, and about you, and like. We want things to be good for the good of all, and we want to move towards health, then you are able to make informed decisions so much easier, and it becomes like obvious and natural to you. Because now, I tried to do like all natural fibers clothing, and it's a lot more comfortable. Like now I can feel it's like it is more restricting. And like bras, I hate a bra.
That's funny. It's I think increasingly I hope someday bras are just obsolete. I think they're reaching that point quickly, but it's like we don't really need.
My rally against them is they harm your lymphatic system. They like black it up so they can cause breast cancer. So I had a lady tell me if you didn't wear them that you'd have too saggy boobs and that could cause breast cancer. So I went down that rabbit hole too. And so now anybody says something about when we talk about bras, I'm like, no, I gotta be careful my breast cancer.
It's definitely a thing. Just for your edification to feel better about that, I talked to a thermographer today, and she was literally talking about how we should not wear bras anymore. I love that. And she sees real-time evidence of how they're impacting cellular activity and stuff like that by holding in the warmth and restricting blood flow and stuff. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Okay, so how best can people detox from these kinds of things when it comes to hormonally, like optimizing everything?
I think that's why I bring up like the paper so much and like, staying curious, because like the mental detox was the hardest thing for me. Like making sure that I had it in my head of like, I want to feel good versus what does it matter, And I just drinking water, like drink so much water, put some salt in it, maybe like some lemon, and your body does naturally detox. Don't block up the detox pathways. Let yourself sweat. Don't wear deodorant. You don't have to not wear deodorant, but occasionally go without it and like really do a workout and like feel how good you feel afterwards. Like go to a sauna.
All of these things for people, I think if they heard them, they'd be like, oh yeah, I've heard that. I think people know that they have an idea. I'm supposed to get good sleep. I'm supposed to drink water. I'm supposed to eat healthy. But there are these things that get in the way of that. What would you tell someone that wants to really embrace detoxification to help their hormones? What would you tell them to like encourage them to move in that direction?
I guess I kind of want to emphasize not going straight to detox if you're feeling hormonal imbalance. There's some times when that can be a really fantastic thing, but making sure that you're nourished during can be a really big part of that. So I would say maybe focusing on where you're feeling the lack, and instead of cutting things, add more things that you love that are good for you, and then the ones that are causing the detox pathways to like clog, because we don't really have to like manually detox our bodies. They do it. Like they care about getting out the toxic things. And I mean, you see it with like, yeah, if you get something on your skin, hives. I don't know if you're a hives person or like, yeah, or like having something in your stomach that your body doesn't like, you need to find a bathroom. Like the body cares about detoxing. So mostly making sure that it can without like getting rid of all of your vital minerals. And then I think you start to naturally see it's intuitive. I think you'll have fun with it.
I think at a certain point in time, I do also think that there are people that are so overwhelmed and struggling to even make sense of why they're experiencing the symptoms that they're experiencing. So for younger women, what sort of things are the biggest indicators that their hormones are out of whack? Like what kind of symptoms are they going to have, and where would you recommend that they start?
Okay, I was having really hard periods and just debilitating. Everybody was like, that's super normal. And I was like, you've got to be out of your mind. There's no way. And what were some other things? I know that kids are starting to get their periods quite a bit younger now, a lot of the time because of endocrine disruptors. But that's not necessarily like an imbalance. I don't know. You just read the signals that your body's giving you.
Heavy bleeding.
Yeah, heavy bleeding. I'm trying to think, because that's the one that I dealt with. Like cramps. I think periods is where like it shows up. Like it gets really brutal during periods. I don't think a lot of people have like terrible symptoms when they're ovulating. You can. That's a whole other thing, you know. There's so many variables. But I think after you ovulate and you start feeling good, and then that like week of PMS, like how long do you have PMS before you get your period? And then how long is your period? Because like I know like somebody who's like, I can put a little square toilet paper in my underwear and I bleed for 3 days. And I was like, girl, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't know what you're talking about. And then after you bleed, like, do you feel super exhausted still, or do you feel like you get a good incline? The quality of blood is really huge. Like the color of it. I have a chart saved of like, if it's really dark and it's really clotted and stuff, you can track that to estrogen. And if it's thin and watery, you might not be shedding enough. So you might not have enough hormones to be like contracting. And that can cause, too much buildup. That's what fibroids roots from frequently, is too much estrogen building up the uterine lining. And it takes too long to bleed in between ovulation and bleeding. Your body keeps building it, and it won't calm enough, and it doesn't have enough stores to tell you, okay, just release and get rid of it. Like, we just need to detox and like have a relaxing time. Well, yeah, so that's where you detox, I think, also as a woman, very frequently is your period. And like, you really feel it. You get the acne, you're pushing it all out. So I think you notice the symptoms in your period. What's the quality of your period? What I love is I found a lady talking about what your period could feel like, and not what it should feel like, but what like nature wants it to feel like, because you're designed to like feel okay, you know. Is it should feel like a calm exhale, and like you had a lot of stuff going on and now you're like at peace and you're seeing things. Your brain goes into a state that allows you to reflect more than when you're ovulating. So when you're ovulating, you're actually like better at math. Like you get more, it's like a boosted testosterone too. Like you get just more energy to be doing stuff. And when you go into menstruating, the change of your like whole state, your body is telling you like, okay, this is good. We're going to start a new cycle. This is so great. We can do better this next time. We're going to make this next one great, guys. We're going to ovulate so good this next one.
What would you tell
because I stopped tracking until I had met my husband. And then I was like, well, we got to start again. I don't want to get pregnant. So we started, and I used the Natural Cycles app, and you can get the app on his phone too. Like you can share. And I think there's a couple of apps that do that. I'm not sure. And that was like, he liked that. He thought that was really cool. So then when I put the charts on the fridge, they were partially for him, Because, like, I would feel like, okay, I'm on my period. It's day 3. So I'm going to probably start, like, the bleeding's going to start stopping. So I think, I want to have chocolate and I'm going to indulge in that. And he would go and look at it and be like, okay, we're on, like, day 3. What should I give her? And he'd have so much fun, like, going to the store. I remember him, like, bringing back pomegranates and stuff and being like, I heard that red fruit was good for you in this phase. Oh, and having fun with it, I think it is like an intimate thing. Talk about like cervical mucus or like your body's ability to feel excited about reproducing, that you have to share it with your partner. Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard too, because I think that like unless men have heard about it or unless they have like, I don't want to say like a good relationship with their mom, but if they have like a good sense of femininity, they think it's really weird to like track your cycle. So yeah, like let's just normalize it for all of them.
I love that. I think here's another good one I have. So I have an 11-year-old. She has not gotten her period yet. We've talked about it. So there's been, that conversation around it. There's nothing, weird. But for me, being a millennial and her being Gen Alpha, there's all of what was taught to me. So like, what would you not what would you say to an 11-year-old necessarily, but like how do you say, like, what would you recommend for parents that are needing to have that conversation with their little ones, like how to approach it? She's just kind of like, this is going to happen, it's inevitable, sort of. She hasn't gotten excited about it, but that might be because of me, honestly. So give me advice. Give me advice.
I mean, I was really excited, but my family I don't think was. Like, they just told me this is going to happen to you, and I don't know, my mom was open about it, but like I was so excited that I made it so fun for myself. Like I asked for period panties and I knew and I was like horrified of tampons. So I started looking, like my mom was like, do you want to get a cup? And we can like, you can do that later when you feel like it. And, we just made it really fun because the inevitable, like they say the first couple of periods can be really crazy with hormones and you can just feel really down. And I can believe that. I don't know if that's actually like, if that's good, but I believe that, and I think that's fine, and I think we should be serving them chocolate cake, and with, the kind with the sweet potato in it, because there is the inevitable, like, you're going to have blood all over your pants, and they don't understand what, it's going to come out the sides, and they don't get that unless they have the ones with the wings. Like, we're just going to make a fun game out of the, like, legitimate, okay, let's not stain all the underwear, like, we don't have to stress about tampons, you can do, like, you want to pick out some pretty colored underwear. It's like potty training. I'm potty training. Like, we have to make the potty so fun because it is like inevitably, it's undoubtedly kind of, I don't want to say it's annoying because that's like the opposite of what I've been preaching this whole time, but it's kind of annoying. Like, it's inconvenient. And then I think when you do that, then it starts to become more of a discussion of like, okay, now what should I eat during this time of my cycle? And like, well, should I work out? Instead of just being like all around a negative experience. Yeah. And like, ovulation. They're getting their first period because they ovulated the first time. That's so cool. That's so like exciting for them.
On it to make it something that's fun, to sort of like open up the magic of like, this is what is being woman, and this is what a cycle is, and this is how your energy will shift, and this is how you can best support yourself. And like you said, like you get fired up about is building those foundations for young women into their 20s and 30s to feel empowered around their cycles and not.
Well, and like we talk about like the relationships that I was in prior to cycle tracking versus like after, just the decisions that I made after from the perspective of like, I want to do good for my body. I deserve good things. And like, I'm a good person and I deserve to feel good. They were different. And the decisions I made before they were kind of disrespectful to that because, I mean, I wasn't really taught that, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun to, like, be a woman, talk about getting period cramps, and that's not, like, exciting at all when you're, like, 12. So then you go into the first relationships and things, and being able to, like, I've been saying, orienting yourself towards overflow, because if you push yourself on the path of, like, yeah, I deserve to feel good, and my body's not out to get me. It wants me to feel good. Like, nature really wants you because it wants you to reproduce. Like, that's the ultimate win for the laws of nature is, like, get this girl in a good relationship, get some babies in here. It'll be perfect. And But when you start to respond, or when you start to like pay attention to it with that perspective, you respond to everything around you different. Just like from the way that, like the clothes that you pick out, and it matters like what you feel sexy in. Don't wear all cotton if that's not your thing, but that's okay. Maybe you're the girl who turns her phone off every night at 7 p.m. and goes for a walk. It's all about which one.
Life balance.
It's a seriously miraculous thing to have like, ovaries, and then you have like a little uterus. I just can't get over like how many processes happen to like all come down to like either, okay, I had like a super strong ovulation, I feel super good, I went out and got my like run in and everything, but all the processes that had to get you to that point and all of the years your body's been preparing you for this is so, it's just so magnificent that if you just like think of it as a magnificent thing, I think you start to like subconsciously seek out the information. You like start to talk to people like, oh, are you on your period? Because I am. Are we syncing up? And then that's how we're going to get all the men in on it. And then that's how we're going to get everybody in. And we're all going to be so excited. And then it's just going to be normal, instead of seeing like random memes on Facebook, we're all going to see like, guess what, guys, my estrogen is balanced. And it's going to be so great. I'm going to
put those out there.
I just think like what I focus on the most, because I did like a lot of courses as just a woman, like a woman to a woman, is I want to like sit with you and ask like, so where are you at in life? How are you feeling? And what can we do to like get you to feeling like the best that you ever have? And I think that just comes down to like, yeah, let's do something fun with it. Let's make a fun little paper chart. And yeah, you can do a lot with just having a positive, like an excitement about it.
So to close it out, you host events, correct?
So I've started more putting it into online. I have a Substack and I post publications, lovely essays and things. I spill my heart out to there. I like intentional media. Like I love a good scroll on like Facebook or something, but getting something to your email that is like going to give you practical tips for the week, that's my thing. So I try to focus a lot on Substack, and it's totally free. And then I've just launched, because I was going to do it in person and then like via Zoom, and I probably still will, but a workshop around this. It's about 2 hours, to get through all of it. You can work at your own pace. It's an ebook and like the audio and all of the information plus 2 exercises. It goes through orienting to where you are and what you want to learn, how everything works, how to work with it, and then the common imbalances and all of the random, like coming off birth control, and there's so many variables, and then at the end we make our own like sheet and you put it on the fridge.
I love that. Perfect. So we'll make sure that gets in front of people when we put this out so that you can reach more people with your fertility awareness and education. And thank you so much. It's been awesome.
Thank you.